Hello everybody, this is the Man Cave with Raphael Leah
and John Jackson. In today's show, we're going to be talking about the MLB, and there's a lot happening, but different things.
MLB's in full swing.
Lots of different things.
Very much so.
Lots, but we'll start with, how about the Mets and Yankees?
Might as well start with the hometown Mets and Yankees. The Yankees in the last 10 games have at least picked it up a little bit. They're 6-4. The Mets have basically been pretty just consistent, honestly, is all I can say. They're 5-5, but they're tied for first with the Washington Nationals.
I believe 21-13.
Yeah,
give or take.
21-13 is correct. The Yankees are 7 games behind first, so
it's not over yet.
To be positive.
Yeah, but it's not over yet.
But not in that absolutely not.
There's no clear front runner in that division. You can say the Orioles. You can make a case for the Red Sox.
I would not have thought you could make a case for the Red Sox, but they're playing better.
They're playing better, yeah. But I could see either of those teams going downhill.
Well, we said it was going to be the Blue Jays at the beginning of the season.
If they were at the top right now, I would say Yankees don't have a chance.
Of course.
But right now, they're not great. They're third place, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they're not.
So,
they're not playing.
Yeah, the Yankees have a chance. The Mets, they played last night against Clayton Kershaw, and what can we say? Clayton's one of the best.
Yeah, he is.
And he just
crushed.
Yeah, I believe 5-0. But I'm not worried. You know, at the beginning of the year, this kid said 78 wins for the Mets. For whatever strange reason.
Pace for 90.
Oh yeah, sure. That's a
they're not. What I'm saying is, right now they're not on pace.
Yeah, but is it more realistic that they're going to get 78 or 94, like I said?
94 is tough. Yeah, that's probably more realistic though.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Okay.
But yeah, if you were to say like...
At least you're coming over to the light side. You're in the dark side.
I still don't know if they'll get to that number, though.
Yeah, they might get higher. You know, it might happen.
I don't think they
We're happy in Mets land.
I'm sure you're happy, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. So, we have lots of other news from different areas.
Happy with 90 wins, but no, I want that 94 wins, is what you're saying.
Lots of news, but we actually have some things about the Yankees.
Well, I just wanted to say that the run differential is extraordinary.
Yeah, for the Mets?
For the Mets, different from the Yankees. You're
the Mets are
4. The Yankees are minus 19.
Yeah.
Differential.
Actually, I have 2 questions for you. Just based on what you've seen from the Mets, I looked up the stats the other day, team stats. Where do you think the Mets ranked in runs scored?
In runs scored, they had a pretty good amount of runs. I think it was like 140 something. So
I'm saying out of all 30 teams.
Out of all 30 teams, they're definitely in the top 3.
Not at all. They're in like the top 15 or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they're underscoring compared to other teams.
But what do you think they are in home runs compared to all 30?
Well, they've been hitting him out of the park.
Yeah.
So top 5?
Higher.
Top 3?
Higher.
1?
Yep. Unless it changed yesterday.
That's weird though, because you're not scoring as many runs as the other teams, but you're hitting more
all
runs
of the Mets runs or home runs. So it seems. But we want to mention some things that Ethan brought to us, our correspondent in Missouri. He had a few statements he wanted to say. One of them was that Chapman hasn't lost anything as he came back from his suspension.
Absolutely not. He came out throwing 101 and 100 on average.
He had some extra rest, so it seems legitimate.
Yeah, he was blown.
Another thing that we have to talk about, Ethan made a statement saying that he thinks the Aaron Hicks trade was a good one. Now, we don't have him here to defend himself, but would you agree or disagree with that?
Well, I just haven't seen the positives yet from Aaron Hicks. He's shown his arm, so I guess you could say that's
if you're looking at defense.
And he's shown that he could hit a little bit. He has power in his bat, but really from his stats, which you could read out.
Yeah.
It's
200, he's batting 200, 7 runs, 2 home runs, 7 RBI.
And I'm not going to say that, but he's getting back on track, like, say, Mark Teixeira or Brian McCann when he was, getting off to a slow start. This is consistent play. He has not really been that good. So, I don't see it.
Yeah.
But
he's a backup.
I would like to hear from Ethan to see what he sees in him that's so good, because I've seen his arm, I've seen his power.
The arm and the defense.
But I haven't seen it consistently.
Yeah. So, staying with the Yankees, some big news. They brought up Gary Sanchez. Is it Gary or Gabby?
It's Gary.
Okay. I'm thinking of that other, first baseman from the Pirates or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, Gary Sanchez, he's the catcher. Number one prospect, like you said, if I'm not mistaken.
A while ago, yeah.
Yeah. So, good or bad?
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad whenever you're bringing up a good prospect.
Do you think it's going to hurt him, though, that he's not going to be starting?
Yeah, that's the big
24/7?
thing. Is bringing up a prospect too early. That's always not a great thing, especially when your team is not doing so well. It can really ruin your prospect. He's ready to come up. The only reason
beyond ready.
He's not up is because of Brian McCann.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any problem here.
They've been
bring him to help out because Brian McCann, he's older, he needs more rest. And with A-Rod's hamstring issue, he needed DH, and Brian McCann played DH. So
he's been rotting in the minors too long. This is a guy he was number one, and then he's been going down almost in the rankings because he's just been in there too long. He's been ready for a while now.
Because the Yankees, when they've had catchers, have been long-term catchers.
Yeah.
We haven't had really a short-term catcher. When we needed a short-term catcher in the day of when we had like Austin Romine and Jose Molina alternating before Molina, Actually, Molina's not good now either. So in those days, we could have used a guy like that. But before that, we had Jorge Posada and we had now Brian McCann. Guys that you really paying too much that you can't put a guy in. So I think it's a good move, though.
That's all we have about the Yankees.
Yeah.
One interesting fact with the Mets was the game the other day when Noah Syndergaard hit a home run, the pitcher, and then he came off his second at-bat, hit a home run. 3-run homer, solo homer, 4 runs accounted for.
I mean, we just said that you had the most home runs in the league.
Yeah, now we have 3 from pitchers. The Cologne home run, who actually, Syndergaard said he was inspired by Cologne. So that... And I called him out on that
And it's funny, too, because Syndergaard swings the bat very, very slowly. On average. So the fact that he was able to catch up with 2 pitches it was unbelievable. Forget about Bartolo's home run, which was even more unbelievable.
You want to hear something funny, too? After he hit the home run, I wrote on Syndergaard's Twitter, where he said about Cologne's home run, I said, he must have inspired you, Bartolo. And then he goes on his Twitter and says, I was inspired by Bartolo Colon. I'm like, but no, he got that from me. He said nobody. I was the one who came up with that. Credit. But no, he won't give me
You heard it here first, guys. John has it.
You can check the times. You can check the times. You don't believe me.
John 97 Jackson.
Yeah, there we go.
We're gonna just Jose Reyes. We said this months back when we were talking about the Aroldis Chapman suspension. We were waiting to see what Jose Reyes would get. He got a big one.
Yeah.
But I think our question was 90 over under 90 games, and it ended up being under 90 games, 60-game ban.
Yeah.
Fair?
I say that's fair because you could make a case that Aroldis Chapman's domestic abuse was worse, but since it had less conclusive evidence, that's why they give him 30. We know what Jose Reyes did, and it was terrible, but it was probably not as bad as Aroldis Chapman. I forgot if Aroldis Chapman had a gun on him or anything and pushed the.
Well, that was the deal.
Either way, it's bad. They both
domestic violence is not good.
Terrible.
If you're gonna address it, you gotta address it in a strict way. There's because it's not gambling. It's not PEDs. It's something that's outside of the game entirely. Something that the law itself is.
I want to give Rob Manfred, the commissioner, credit because Jose Reyes was actually in court and they dismissed him of his charges, if I'm not mistaken. So, actually, now with Chapman, inconclusive evidence, you have Jose Reyes, where he wasn't charged with anything, but they're still getting suspensions, which, he's dropping the hammer on MLB. We don't want domestic violence before it turns into the NFL.
The way Rob Manfred's run the league, I really have had no problem with, honestly, because he's gotten the Players Association and himself on the same board. Is there anything else we need to talk about there?
We mentioned this in our other episode. Check that one out on the NBA. But in our Player of the Weeks, Raphael mentioned Scherzer. Max Scherzer, 20 strikeouts.
1 of 5.
1 game, 9 innings.
First one since 1998 to do so, blah, blah, blah. I could go on and on. Max Scherzer was incredible.
Major league record.
Still gave up 2 runs in that game.
Complete game, 9 innings.
But the complete game, 119 pitches.
But those 20 Ks, pretty amazing.
Outstanding, honestly. Next week, just as a little tease, we've been getting a lot of questions. Who's the better catcher, Plawecki or Travis d'Arnaud? So if you're a Mets fan, a New York fan, a sports fan in general, You'll get John's take on that next week. Until then, I'm Raphael Leah.
And I'm John Jackson. This has been The Man Cave.